Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, a new kind of podcast where no topic is off limits. We're bringing in experts and owners to have the conversations we should be having as a dog community. Each week, a new guest will share firsthand experiences, educational resources, or professional guidance to help you learn and grow along with your dog. You won't get one perspective here, you'll get them all, because every dog is different and every owner is too.
You can follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Straight Up Dog Talk, or by visiting www.straightupdogtalk.com. Tune in from any of your favorite podcast platforms.
This episode is sponsored by Pet Matrix Premium Canine Supplements. Straight Up Dog Talk is super excited to be partnered with Pet Matrix. After exhausting several other pet supplemental brands, I am now seeing the results that I have always been searching for Toby and Fitz. Pet Matrix supports all three pillars of canine wellness using their cell matrix delivery. It delivers nutrition directly into the cell. If you're looking for a supplement that pairs with nature and science, look no further and get your dog on Pet Matrix today. Welcome to another episode of Straight Up Dog Talk. I'm Em. We're back again as usual with Josh.
Hello.
And tonight's guest is Veeta, and we're going to be visiting with her about her dog Habby tonight. Just a happy little feel-good story this evening. How are you doing, Veeta?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. We're
Good.
very excited to have you. So
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. We need some happy episodes, right? We need some good kind of break up the tension episodes, and you have a good happy little story and an adorable little dog named Habby, and what a better way to celebrate your relationship with him than to have you come on and share his story.
Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the spirit of that, why don't you do a little introduction for the listeners and tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. My name is Veeta, like you've mentioned. I have a little tri-colored beagle that was born in July of 2015. We got him from an ethical breeder, and I live in the outskirts of Vancouver, BC, Canada. And so we've had him for some time, and we enjoy having Habby, and I'm glad that I can talk about him. I think this is going to be great.
So tell us a little bit about Habby. Tell us, kind of some of his quirks, maybe some funny stories about him, just anything that comes to mind.
All right. So one of the stories is, I don't know if anybody else's dog does this, but he tends to hop on one leg, then he'll switch over on his other hind leg and do that. And I've taken him to the vet a few times since he was a little puppy, and they couldn't find anything wrong. They said he's fine, but it's just his quirk, and he doesn't do it all the time. But sometimes we're on a walk and he'll just start hopping like a little bunny, and it's just cute. And everybody will say, "Oh my gosh, something's wrong with your dog." And I'll say, "No, he's fine. His leg isn't broken. It's not sprained. It's just that's what he likes to do when we're on walks." And the only other, some of his other quirks are he, like most dogs, he is a licker. And I mean his blankie. The sofa that we're sitting on, he will just excessively lick sometimes, and I'm not sure if it's the oils on it. And then sometimes I'm like, "Habby, that's gross." But he will keep doing it. And the worst part, is that when I sit down, the sofa is soaking wet, and it's just like that's a gross feeling. I'm sure you know. It's just so soaked with his spit and whatnot.
Yeah, that was my dog Odysseus. My wife has joked that if I would let him lick my face, he would get like obsessive about it, like wide eyes, just like lick. And she used to say that like if I died in my sleep, he would just eat my.
Odie, a little wild man.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Habby's dog, he has no hair. And so you know what he does with the licking? He'll jump on top of the sofa, and while his dad's sitting there, he will lick the whole head. And I'm like, he must be licking the salt off of that poor man's head.
Fitz actually does that to a couple of my friends. And it always cracks me up because Fitz is not real keen on a whole lot of people, and he generally prefers females over males. But I do have a couple of male friends that have bald heads, and Fitz will sit there and lick their heads just for as long as they will let them. And I just am like, stop letting him do that. That's so disgusting. I don't mind. I do.
What is with that?
It can be so many different things. It can be an anxious reaction, anxiety. It can just be, excitement, and that's how they're expressing it. It can be a compulsion. There are so many different things that it can be. It's all just kind of like a behavioral indication. I would say that a lot of times it's mostly like the licking of the paws on the couch. Mm-hmm. That's usually like a self-soothing mechanism. And that's just kind of, probably Habby's way to wind down and enjoy the life on the sofa because, that's the best life, right? The dog life is the best life.
Dog version of sucking their thumb.
Yeah, exactly. Dog version of sucking their thumb. That's a great way to compare it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So you said that you got Habby back in 2015 from an ethical breeder. What was it that made you decide to get a beagle? Beagles are very unique breeds.
They sure are. So my son, when he was 13, and prior to that, he always wanted a dog. And let me just tell you a little story before we got the dog, is I was deathly scared of dogs. When I was a child, I had a dog set on me by a couple of teenagers and said, go chase her. And I was about 5, I think. And ever since that, I was very scared. It didn't matter the size of the dog, what the breed was. Could be a little tiny puppy. I was so scared of dogs, and I avoided dogs when I was walking. I just couldn't. I would just start panicking, thinking they were going to chase me down and bite me. And so it was another way for me to get over the fear as well. And my son wanted a dog as well. And so I said, okay, you're now in grade 8. I think you're responsible to have a dog and all that goes along with having a dog. And so I asked him to research what kind of dog that would work well within our family, that would be compatible as well. So then he went on the internet, Googled a couple of types of breeds, and he said, Mom, I think a beagle would be the best for our family. And so then we looked up some breeders, and we found one that was local, and we went over, and they didn't breed a lot in terms of with the same dog. And they had us sign a contract saying we would be good with the dog, that we wouldn't send it off to a puppy mill as well. That sort of thing. So I trusted this breeder, and we brought Habby home. At first, it was a little sad because the little children were so close to this dog, and just taking the dog when we picked up Habby, his name was Walt at that point. And so we changed it to Habby, and they were crying, and I felt so bad because I thought I was taking their little puppy, one of many. And the breeder also gave us Habby's mom's towel. They cut a piece of it so that he would get used to us, but he would have that comfort. And so we did put it in his kennel for the first week, and then he got used to us, and it was fine. And then we didn't need that little blankie. But because it was my son, that's why we originally got it. I got over my fear. And that dog, after a few years, is my dog. I'm the dog mom.
It's funny how that kind of works out. The kids go away and they leave the house and they don't take the dog. And now all of a sudden, it's your dog. But it sounds like it works out really well for you. And I would like to point out a couple of the things that you mentioned about the breeder having the contract and signing the forms. The fact that they let you come to the facility, that they didn't breed the dogs multiple times, those are all indicators of an actually ethical breeder. Somebody who's, looking out for the dog. The fact that they sent the towel home with you so that the dog could have something familiar while adjusting in the new setting, those are the things you guys want to listen
or look for, and the listeners, you need to look for those kinds of things. If you decide that you are going for breed specific and you're going to shop and not adopt, those are exactly the most important things to be looking for. So good job on that. That's really, really good information for the listeners, but also, something that you should be proud of yourself, because not everybody does that. Not everybody does the work and the research, and that's how we get into some kind of icky situations.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And with myself is that with my kids, I've always told them, whatever you're doing, we got to finish it to the end, whether it was taking sports or other activities. And having a puppy, I let them know that when they were doing research, my son, was that this is going to be important. They're going to become a part of our life. We're not going to give this dog up. When the dog goes, it's because it's time to go at the end of its life. And I think that's very important to teach your kids that responsibility as well. My son does take him out for walks and whatnot. He's 21 now. But in a few years, I don't know how it happened, how that transformed. He went from Jaden's dog to my dog. He sleeps with me. We do everything together. It's exactly like he's my third child now.
I think that that's completely okay. I think that, especially once your kids get older and you have less of them in the house and you have that dog to bond with, I think that really helps fill a little bit of that empty nester feeling. Can't speak from, experience. I don't have kids. Josh doesn't have kids, but I know you have step kids. I think a lot of people who, I've seen that happen where their kids grow up, they move out of the house, and the next thing you know, they've got a dog or a cat. That companion it's just nice to have that, because it's just a little bit of extra love in your home.
I agree completely.
Also, speaking to the point that you made with your kids about, this being a lifetime commitment, the dog's lifetime is not as long as a human lifetime, but it is a lifetime commitment. And, I think people don't understand that. It's like when they get dogs for Christmas, or they get bunnies for Easter, or just, cats for Halloween. I've seen all kinds of crazy things. You can't just bring an animal into your home for the aesthetic of a holiday and then just turn around and take it back to a shelter. When you get an animal, it is a commitment, and I commend you for teaching that lesson to your children.
Thank you. I agree with you completely. A dog, any pet, a cat, it does not matter. It's not a toy. It's a living being. And I think you have to take care of it as if it was just like your child. It is like your child. It's my fur baby.
Mm-hmm.
When I did get Habby, a lot of my friends were like, your children are teenagers. Why are you getting a puppy? You're going back to looking after it, getting it on a sleep schedule, having toileted. I said, I have no idea why I'm doing this, but it's been a fun ride. So far, he's 8 years old now, and I've learned a lot. As I mentioned, my fear over dogs is gone. I love dogs, and I know in the future I will likely adopt a dog from a shelter so I could have another type of experience, having one that I brought home as a puppy, but perhaps an older dog, just to compare the experiences. I can't picture my life without Habby now. It's just like he's so ingrained in our family, especially for me. He's so just involved. I'd love to spend time with him. And when I take a trip, I make sure there's somebody there with Habby, one of my children. I won't, if I can't take him with me, I have to make sure there's somebody. I can't even put him in a kennel because for some reason, I don't want to put him in a kennel. Not that I've heard anything bad about kennels, but for myself, I'm like, he needs to be at home in his comfort, in surrounded by people that he knows.
Well,
his couch is at home.
Exactly. His couch is his home. And some dogs are just able to exist in a home and not need to be kennel trained. I mean, Toby is not kennel trained. He doesn't do well in a kennel. I initially tried to do it with him, but because of the situation that he came from, being a bait dog, being kept in a kennel, most of the time, and then severely abused when he wasn't in the kennel, I just wanted him to feel safe. And so he doesn't go in the kennel. Another thing that Toby would do is he would bark himself until he couldn't bark anymore if I put him in the kennel. So that stopped. Fitz is kennel trained. He goes in the kennel. That's more of a, I know where he's at. I know what he's doing. And he's giving Toby a break for the day if he's in his kennel. So, I think the way that everybody approaches it is different. I just think that educating people on the tools and how they work for everybody is the most important part about that.
That's right. And you're right. The sofa is Habby's home. If you see most of my reels in Instagram, they are mostly him lounging on the sofa. And that's where I usually get all my videos to make of him is mostly on that sofa.
And your videos are cute. Your content is cute. You always have positive messages and you're always encouraging people to, look at themselves and love themselves and, just kind of enjoy life with a dog. Your content is very different from a lot of what is out there on Dogstagram. It's not my dog is posing and doing tricks and my dog is laying in the bed with the remote and the popcorn. It's very natural. And I really like that about your content because it's not posing, it's not polished. It's very informal and very natural and very positive.
Thank you. When I started posting, I started in May with the Instagram Habby the Beagle. And the reason I wanted to do that was something that I can bring positivity to everybody. If it uplifts people, that's great. It wasn't so for the follows or the likes or the views. It was for myself. How do I give back to people? How do I give back to a community? And I thought this is the best way if I have content regarding Habby, but make it natural. Just things that he's normally doing, whether he's howling at sirens. Gosh, that's another story in itself, is when we go on walks, siren goes out, whether it's a fire truck, an ambulance, and he starts it. And people turn around and they think it's funny because you hear the dog howling along with the sirens. I'm like, I think people know that the ambulance is going by, but he will start. And so I try to just do content. Just if I've got my camera and he's lying there, I will film him sleeping, howling, just doing things naturally, and then try to figure it out later on if there's a reel that matches up, or I can put just a song or something, and here he's coming now. But that's the best way, I think. And I think that's why people probably enjoy his reels, is because it's very natural. It's not produced. And no offense to anyone that's doing that. That's great if they're able to do that. I don't think myself has the energy to do that with Habby. I think it would take me quite a bit of time if I had to kind of do those kind of poses and whatnot. It wouldn't come off naturally for me. And I can put Habby through that. That's just my personal thing. And like I was saying, no offense to anyone else. That's great if that's what you do for your content.
No, absolutely. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the more polished, presented content. The part of that we're trying to kind of uncover and remove the veil and fog from is that there's a lot of training and a lot of work and a lot of time that goes into producing content like that. And that the illusion of the dogs behaving a certain way in content is because of all the time and the effort that the owner put into that dog and the reel and the training. And it doesn't just happen. It's not natural behavior. And I think that we're seeing a lot of people getting dogs thinking that they're going to act the way that the golden retriever that they saw on Instagram acts, not understanding how much time and effort actually went into that.
That's true. And that's why I think with Habby's content, they can see he's just lounging around. He's going for a walk. He's howling. It comes off. This is what it really is. And it's right. That's a lot of work. So kudos to those that spend that time. And not that I wish I could do it, but I just wouldn't. I don't have the interest either. I think that's what it is mostly.
Well, and it's all kind of dog based too, right? Because you have to have the right kind of dog to commit to training those tricks and getting them to behave a certain way. You have a beagle. A beagle is not a golden retriever. Golden retrievers are flop down, do whatever you want, roll over on their back. They're, pretty easygoing. Beagles are a lot more opinionated and they are a lot more hard-headed. And I've never met a beagle that does not want to speak its mind.
Oh, you're telling me, Em. Oh my gosh. Habby is a negotiator. He does definitely speak his mind. Let me tell you, if he has my glasses, my reading glasses, I've left them on the table, the remote or a slipper, he will take that. He's not going to destroy it unless it's the shoe. But my glasses, he's never destroyed. He will just take them in his mouth, put them down. He goes under the table and he's waiting for you to give him a treat. He's not going to destroy it. He knows you'll give him a treat. That's his negotiating skills. He's so smart like that. And it just surprises me sometimes. And I'm like, Habby, what did you do here? And I know what you want. And so he always gets a treat. But it's usually, I think, when he's bored or he's wanting attention.
Well, it seems like he's figured out a great way to get attention. I mean, let's just steal the glasses off the table and I get a treat and pets. I mean, that seems fair to me.
That's right. The life of Habby. This is what it is. And sometimes security guard, you wouldn't want a beagle because they will bark. They will bark when someone's at the door. But once they come in, it's like, hi, how are you? The tail's wagging, licking. And I said, oh my gosh, you're the worst security guard. And people just love him. And but sometimes he pretends that he's a good security guard. We do live on a green belt, and so we do get bears, raccoons, coyotes come. That's when I'm a little afraid for him, and I make sure that he's not going outside. I watch out every time. But sometimes there's nothing out there, maybe a bird, a crow, and he'll just start barking, pretending that he's Mr. Security. See, I did my job. Are you going to give me a treat? Then he looks with you, and you're like, all right, you're fake security guarding? Here, I will give you a treat. But yes, he's not the greatest security guard, and sometimes he pretends he is.
I think that's okay. Beagles they're very interesting dogs. A few years ago, I lived in a house next door to a gal that had 2 beagles. And when I moved in, I thought, oh boy, we're going to see how this goes because they shared a fence line with me. So, Fitz is not always the friendliest with other dogs, and Toby does not generally like dogs that are bigger than him for obvious reasons because he was a bait dog. And I was a little bit worried about how that would go, but they got along famously. And it was really hilarious to watch because the beagles were a bit chubbier, they were a bit bigger, and they would come out and they would just start. They would start with the baying and they would start with the howling. And then they would run up and down the fence with Fitz and they would try to keep up, but they would only make it maybe 3 or 4 laps and Fitz would just keep going. And they would just sit there and boo, boo, boo. And it was so fun to watch because it was just a very unique interaction. And I think you find that a lot with beagles.
You do. Anywhere I take them, a lot of people will turn around and they recognize a beagle. And so he does get a lot of attention when we're on walks. And you're right about the baying. It's just very distinctive for a beagle. And it's just very interesting, that type of howl. He'll just go up on top of a mound even and he'll start baying and all the other dogs start turning around. People start turning around. And you're like, okay, Habby, I think you've got the attention that you needed. But it's very distinctive for that type of howl for a beagle.
That's definitely another thing about beagles, too, is that they know what they want. Whether obviously it's stealing the glasses from the table or, barking, pretend security. They're very vocal dogs. They're definitely one of the more louder breeds, I would say. And they interact with other dogs in ways that are just so funny because they don't usually do like the, sniff button, say hello thing right away. It's usually the, how are you? And then, everything proceeds from there. They're so fun to watch.
I agree.
Let's talk about just a little bit about dog ownership in general, because it's not a lifestyle that's for everyone. And especially coming from someone who was originally scared of dogs as a young child due to a traumatic experience, it's something that you have to learn very quickly how to adjust to your lifestyle. So what were some things that you noticed in the beginning with Habby? Like your friends said, here you are with this puppy and teenagers. I'm sure that was pretty chaotic.
It was. It's been a learning experience indeed. I didn't realize that when they're teething that he was going to go through the drywall, the sofas, because I guess we did research up to a point, but I didn't realize until we actually had Habby how much work it was going to be. And I do work full time. So when we had him, the kids were obviously going to school. So I've learned that if I were to get a puppy in the future, that I would spend more time the first few weeks getting to know him, and for him to feel comfortable and feel secure that there is somebody. We would put cages around the kitchen to block it off so he's not going over everywhere. I was off for a few days, and my son was there as well, but I wish I'd spent more time with him. So I didn't realize that he was going to chew through my island at the bottom, through the walls, eating the sofa. And then thank God that part is over. And then just getting him toilet trained, but going outside at every few hours. And then the sleeping. He did not like to sleep in the kennel. He'd be wailing. And I know a lot of people, there's kind of a disagreement, an agreement that the dog should sleep with you, not sleep with you. I made a decision at that point to have him sleep with me. And as you know, with dogs, they sleep all over the place. and mine likes to make sure that he's right next to me. So I could be right at the edge of the bed, and he's making sure at least his nose, his butt, something's touching me. He knows I'm in bed with him. And so I think those are kind of the things that I wish I knew, but it's learning. It's like once you bring a baby home to a child, that you're going to learn as you go. You know some stuff, but it's just a matter of learning. You're going to have sleepless nights. You got to feed the baby every few hours, that sort of thing. So at least I know when I have another dog that these are some of the things that I'm going to be prepared with. It was our first dog. And so it's been a learning experience, and I've learned a lot, but it's been worth it. I must say it's worth it. Was hard at first, at the first year, but it's worth it. I love that little boy so much. Little man. Sometimes I call him little man.
It really is worth it. And it does take time. And every dog, is different, and every dog needs different modalities of getting to those achievements, whether it's potty training or not chewing on the kitchen counter or the sofa, things like that. I personally never have understood the argument about not letting your dog sleep in your bed with you. That just never made sense to me.
The only thing that I've ever heard that made sense was if the dog is like 5 pounds or under and you are not you're a restless sleeper. That made sense to me.
I get that.
But I mean, I had Odie who was 7 pounds, and like if I rolled over onto Odie, he would just like push me back off of him. Like,
yes, I see. I have Fitz who, he's like my Velcro dog. So he has to lay. So his face is right by my shoulder, and his body is pressed up all the way against my body, all the way down. And then I have Toby who sleeps off to the side at an angle with, usually his nose or his butt touching me. And he's the one that takes up more room. Fitz and I do not take up anywhere near as much space as the 12-pound little Chihuahua mix does, which is insane to me. But we call it dog Tetris because it's a fight for the bed every night. And how do you fit in? Now, I think I can understand that as well, because some people maybe can't sleep in awkward positions or have health problems that they require maybe like a sleep apnea mask or something like that. Those things I understand. But in general, let your dog sleep in the bed. It's not hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you too. It makes him feel safe and comfortable. And it'll obviously now I'm used to it. And if he doesn't sleep with me, which is really rare. If he just jumps off and sleeps on the floor, I'm like, where did he go? I feel something's missing now. So unless, of course, I'm on vacation, then that's fine. But it's a comfort for both of us at this point.
Well, and also in the winter, it's a great source of heat because, you've got that dog laying right up against you. It's like your own heated blanket. It's great.
Exactly.
Now, not everything with dog ownership is fun. It's not always easy. It's messy. It's dirty. It's gross. But like you said, the love is worth it. Is there anything that Habby does that just absolutely drives you crazy?
There's two things. And one is when we are going on a walk, is that this doesn't happen all the time, but when he was a puppy the first year is when those massive trucks drive by, he starts barking and it drives him bonkers. He's wanting to chase them down. Now it's more or less very periodic that now he can ignore that and he can go on his walk. But very once in a while, if a truck does go by, one of those semi-trucks, he will start barking and wanting to chase it down. But he doesn't do it. That drives me a little bonkers sometimes because I got to make sure I'm holding the leash because I just don't know when it will happen. And it doesn't happen frequently. So sometimes I'm not even aware and I don't want to fall because he's barking up a storm and wanting to chase after it. And I try to reel the leash in so that it's a shorter leash. That's one thing that I'm not sure if there is something I can do about it. Maybe you might know him. But the other one would be with his sister. She, since I had him, he was always been a little jealous of her. So she comes to me and wants to snuggle up, that sort of thing. He will start barking at her and saying, go away. Mind you, this doesn't happen all the time, but we're being honest here. There's going to be dogs that have it's not all perfect, even when we're posting on social media. That is one of the things that drives me bonkers. And I'll say, Habby, stop it. I'm still your mom. I'm her mom too. But for some reason, he won't want her near us. It becomes very protective, very possessive. It just happens maybe once a week. It doesn't happen all the time. I don't know what set him off at that time. And other times it's fine. She walks in. He has no problem. And other times it's like, get away from us. Don't come near me, my mom. And then when I'm not at home and they're both together, he will allow her to pick her up. He doesn't allow anyone else to pick him up. But basically, I say to Habby, you use your sister. If nobody's home, you will use her to lift you up, snuggle with her. But other than that, he ignores her. He ignores her. And I'm not sure why, but it just is. It is what it is. And those are the only two things that I don't really like that type of behavior with Habby.
It's funny because, every dog seems to have like these little quirks. And honestly, that's not the first time that I've heard somebody tell a story where the dog doesn't like their person showing affection to another person. I have seen people who get into relationships and, the guy or the girl has a dog and now they have this new relationship. And someone's gotten bit because they were kissing or hugging or something like that. And the dog was like, what are you doing? This is my person, not your person. So there is definitely some room for behavior correction in there. But again, that's just another, form of time investment. And as long as it's not hurting anybody, as long as he's just being vocal about it, you don't really see any reason to really focus on correcting that behavior. Like I said, as long as it's not harmful.
That's right. He hasn't been violent towards her, trying to bite her. It's more vocal. Stay away from my mom. And he just doesn't want her near me. And it's just sometimes I think that's just odd. But then it just could be jealousy that she's shown that this person's going to try to take attention away from my mom.
Yeah, that was Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like affection, like that he wasn't involved in, and he hated dancing.
Dancing?
Yeah, because we got to connect. And, we had like the Let's Dance game and we started doing it and he lost his mind. It's the only time he ever would nip.
Wow.
He hated dancing.
I'm glad I never had a dance party at your house. We have dance parties all the time. When we bake cake, bedtime cake in the kitchen, we always have a dance party. and Fitz gets involved and Toby gets involved. It's a great time. I'm glad I never danced with Oliver. I probably would have gotten
I would
hit.
not have liked that at all.
Funny quirks. Dogs are so funny.
I do love your cake parties. So when you post and eating with the fork, I think that's so cute. And I don't understand. We were talking about this before, is that I'm not sure why people get upset when you're feeding your dog with a fork. I'm not sure, but they think it's unhygienic or maybe odd, but I like it. It's just fine. You're going to wash it. And so I'm not sure why people get upset with that.
Because it's the internet. And you just have to understand that people just have to get upset about things on the internet that have absolutely nothing to do with them.
I mean, and Josh has been really good about preparing me for, when that reel with the cake and the fork and all that went viral. Josh is like, this could potentially happen with the podcast too. Like, there might be some negative commentary. You might get some negative feedback. Like, you just need to be prepared for that, ignore it and move on. And it really has been a very big learning experience in a totally different way because, you and I are people who try to bring such positive messages and just fun messages to people on social media by sharing our lives with our dogs and not taking it too seriously. And to be attacked like that was definitely a new experience for me.
It was definitely uncalled for. I think that's amazing how you spend time with your dogs. I did the same thing with Habby in terms of sharing my tea. We drink tea in the morning. We get up, I make tea, and I have my cups. I have lots of mugs. I collect mugs. Side note. And when there's the last drop left, I let him have it. And I think it's just cute. It's going to get washed, the cup. And I'm not going to give you the same cup after I've drank through it. So I just think sometimes it's just amazing how people do get upset over little things. I think that are little, but perhaps obviously they're much bigger things for them.
Yeah, see, Artemis knows taste. If I have like a drink or anything and she'll like come up and look at me, I'll just put my finger in the drink and put it over so she can have a drop, and it doesn't really matter what it is, a drop of something is not going to hurt my dog. So, but she knows that, like, she knows that is something that I will share my drink with her.
Sharing is caring. That's all there is to it, right? Sharing is caring.
Unless it's COVID.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. And I mean, it's not like we're, I'm not sitting here necessarily like eating the cake off the fork after them. We're talking about dog cake here, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Eating it out of their mouth.
Oh my gosh. I did see a reel that somebody did after I did mine with the fork where they Lady and Tramp spaghetti with their dog, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
And that's fine too.
Exactly. It's 100% fine. There's something else that you do with Habby that I think is really special. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you do for work and how you include Habby in that?
All right. So I work for a seniors facility. I am a resident service manager for a nonprofit, faith-based seniors facility. And we do have dogs that come in, a few dogs that come in as part of pet therapy. They're not even so much pet therapy, but they're social visits for our seniors. They love having the dogs. They can reminisce about their childhood or when they did have dogs, but prior to coming in and living at our seniors facility. And I do bring Habby, volunteer him to come in, and they love petting him. And as they're petting him, they're also telling me stories of when they were a little boy, a little girl, and they used to have this type of dog. So it brings back those memories. I've always enjoyed working with seniors, listening to stories and how the world has changed for them as well. And so it's great to give that part back to seniors, to a community, especially sometimes a frail community as well. And it's just amazing when I see them, whether it's with Habby or another dog that's come in, their eyes light up, and then they just start talking about their dog, how they miss them. Unfortunately, they can't bring their dogs where we're taking care of them, but at least this is a part we can do, is having different dogs come in to visit the seniors, and it's just amazing, the interaction. And I feel so good that I'm giving back and it's making a difference for someone. And just to listen to those memories of seniors having their pets that they miss, or whether they were children or adults. And it's just amazing how we can give back. And I do like that this is a great way for our seniors to enjoy pets coming in.
I think that's the greatest thing about the dog community is that dogs can be included in so many things that bring joy to people. And they can also be included in so many things that send messages that are positive to people. That is why I started following Habby, because Veeta is very much in the same line of thought. Josh knows this about me. I've been, on the Kindness Matters campaign for forever and ever and ever, because I think that people need to be treated with respect. It doesn't matter if somebody isn't nice to you. It doesn't matter if somebody is just being ugly to somebody else, like in the comments of your social media. Regardless, you should always, try to be the bigger person and act with goodwill and kindness to other people, and really try to put that positive message out there, because you never truly know what people are going through. And if you can be that one little tiny piece of happiness in somebody's day, that's really, really important. And I love that you can do that with your dog for other people.
Thank you, Em. I think it's a great way, and that's why we connected, is both of us, is that kindness does matter. And that's the kind of content I want to put out, is positive, a good energy, that in different ways. I do have another an account as well, and that's where I do enjoy photography and putting up positive messages, quotes that I can find, and some of them do have Habby in them as well. And it's just pictures, and I like to do that. I always try to see, how can I give back to a community? How can I uplift someone, motivate someone? If this is it, and if I've done that, if it's made a difference in someone's life for that moment, that makes me feel good.
And that's absolutely beautiful. And I think that is an excellent place for us to close out tonight. I will make sure to share both Habby's account and your Veeta Stars account in the episode notes, so that the followers can not only get a look at how adorable and funny Habby is, but also so they can follow along your positive message campaign. So thank you, Veeta, for being on this episode of Straight Up Dog Talk, and we will see you guys next week.
Straight Up Dog Talk was created by Emily Breslin. It is edited, produced, and co-hosted by Josh Wasta under the supervision of Straight Up Dog Talk, LLC, and Emily Breslin. If you're enjoying this podcast, follow or subscribe to be sure you don't miss an episode, and leave us a review on your favorite platform. Looking for more honest and relatable dog content? Check out our sister show, Unpacked, with Jerry Sheriff and Madison Simpson. Thanks for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk. See you next week.